We are live.
Good morning and welcome to these 2 days of CII's virtual summit on contracting. We're going to be looking at traditional and collaborative contracting for owners, contractors, EPCs, and suppliers and consultants over the next 2 days. I'm Robert Weibel, and I'm the Senior Project Manager at CII, and I will be your moderator for this program. We're going to go to an introductory video which describes what we're doing over the next 2 days.
Evolving contracting models are changing contract procedures in the capital project industry. Stakeholders need to have an in-depth understanding of contracting methods, applications, and how to choose the appropriate strategy. The CII Contract Strategy Virtual Summit focuses on exploring traditional and collaborative contracting models for construction project owners, contractors, suppliers, service providers, and consultants. In this summit, CII thought leaders and leading industry subject matter experts will provide deep insights on the benefits of alternative contracting strategies. There will be a special focus on compensation models and sourcing methods to increase your knowledge of North American and European best practices and recommendations.
Thank you again for joining us. The Construction Industry Institute, I think many of you are probably our members or are familiar with us. CII has been around since 1982, and we've been working with a combination of owners, EPCs, service providers, and academicians, not only in the United States, but around the globe, to try and address problems which limit the effectiveness and efficiency of our construction industry. We're based at the University of Texas in Austin, and we actually function through a series of groups. We have 5 sectors, 9 communities for business advancement, and 4 standing committees. And we conduct annual conference and we hold webinars like the one we're holding today and tomorrow. And you can see our mission statement below. If we go to the next, we always open one of our sessions with a safety moment. And indeed, that was one of the drivers for CII to come together, was to reduce the number of accidents that are occurring on our construction sites. What you see below is the chart going back a number of years over recordable incident rate. And the CII member line is that red line, and the industry average is the line above it. To the left, you see a whole series of projects and reports that we've done out of research, which have helped our members, when they adopt it, to make that kind of progress. And if we go to the next, we'd like to thank our sponsors for this session. Throughout the program, you will have access to their virtual showroom to see materials that they have for your interest. But without their work, these things don't come together, and they've all contributed either speakers or time to support this program. And if we go to the next, well, this is all about what we need to address contract strategy. We've really brought together some of the leaders in the world, people who have been on our research teams in the past. People are actually implementing some of the original research and making significant progress in terms of reducing the problems that traditional contracting has afforded them. If we go to the next, these are our thought leaders who we'll be hearing from immediately in terms of their overall thoughts about the next 2 days. And they will be coming back in our Q&A session at the end of each of the days to share with you their thoughts throughout the program. And if we go to the next, these are our subject matter experts. You'll hear today from 3 of these individuals. And again, we thank them all for their input and their work in preparing their presentations. Go to the next. The summit theme is what are available contract strategies and compensation models, and how do you choose? We've really have some influences and focus areas. CII's AWP Best Practices Group, our collaboration contracting framework, our partnering and alliances and best practices, our supply chain management CBA, and many of our 5 sectors have all been concerned with the issue of contracting. If we go to the next. So why did this summit get together? It really became an item that our members identified in a series of surveys we've done over the past years as a true critical topic. And it's an event, something that as we've all gone through the COVID-19, our contracts have become even more important to us. We've actually gone into a lot of details as to who was responsible for what when some part of the system broke down, which gave us impetus on the issues of collaborative contracting. And you can see below the research projects which we've undertaken. We've been working in the past with COA and the ECI and those organizations to address these issues. We go to the next. We're doing something fairly unique in this in terms of the way we're engaging you all. We have, everyone is on mute, but you do have an opportunity to ask questions throughout the course of the day, not only during the actual Q&A sessions, but as the question occurs to you as the speaker, as he or she covers a topic. And we've asked Stephen Mcgregor from Group ASI to describe to you exactly that process. Stephen?
Thanks, Robert. Hey, everyone. So as you can see on screen, Slido.com is the tool that we'll be using to take Q&A as well as run some polls during the sessions over the next 2 days. You can access Slido.com on your computer, on your smartphone, or your tablet, and you'll be prompted to enter an event code that is simply CII, uppercase or lowercase, it shouldn't matter. And we're actually going to transition over to Slido in just a moment. I also wanted to show you really quickly, if you haven't already looked around the lobby, the sessions pane, the speaker list, and the sponsors lounge as well as the networking tools in FeedLoop. We encourage you to take a look during the breaks, interact with each other, send some messages, get some downloads, and just enjoy the virtual event portal. It will be live for up to 6 months following the conclusion of this event. So now I would like to move over to Slido. I'd encourage you to follow the instructions on screen, and we'll run a short poll. So Robert, you will start to see the responses rolling in. There's a number at the top right. We currently have 17, 20, and so on.
And we'll let this run for about a minute here. And we have this this capability built in throughout the entire 2 days. We're planning on doing another poll like this at the opening of tomorrow. But if there are some things that you as the audience would like to see polled, you can put that in your input to us, and we'll take that into consideration as we have the program roll out. Okay, I think we've given this enough time. I think some of you can go ahead and continue to provide input, but we'll shift over to actually open our session with our thought leaders. Across the top of the screen, you also are seeing our thought leaders: Annabella Bolivar-Martin, Jamie Gerbrecht, Eric Gravella, and Jay Moser. Annabella, I'm turning it over to you.
Thanks, Bob. Good morning, everybody. My name is Annabella Martin, and it's very exciting to be with you here today. I am currently the chair of CII's Supply Chain Community of Business Advancement, and this group is composed of members that are really taking a deep dive into supply chain best practices and working together to see how we could implement and deploy these best practices within the industry, so we're making positive impacts and to improve project performance. So really the goal is to communicate and educate members on the principles, practices, and tools for successful implementation of supply chain management. And lately we've spent some time interacting with the OS2 research team, which really has as an objective to refine the capital project business model. I think we all realize that there's some major changes that need to happen in our industry. So our group meets once a month. Bob Weibel and I are part of that team, and I welcome anybody that is interested in joining us to please reach out to Bob and myself if you're interested in joining that group. With my Hilti hat on, I'm an international business developer with Hilti, supporting global customers around the world and really trying to engage with those entities as early as possible to identify fit-for-purpose solutions, deploying a lot of the innovations that companies like Hilti as an OEM and a supplier can bring to the market. You know, like many other OEMs and service provider, Hilti endeavors to bring to our industry innovative solutions to improve project performance. And really there's an effort to try to move away from the late commercial transactional interactions that we see in the construction phase and get alignment early on so that we can streamline the execution of a project, taking in mind, you know, the technical and the commercial considerations which are critical. As you can imagine, all of this is easier said than done. As an OEM and a supplier, we often face many hurdles that we have to jump through. Some of these including, you know, inaccurate perceptions of what organizations like Hilti and other OEMs can actually offer the industry, out of resistance and an unwillingness to change, lack of stakeholder alignment, poorly defined scopes, and lack of visibility to contractual arrangements which influence behaviors of the stakeholders involved in the capital project space. And that's just to name a few. So organizations like CII and others represented here are really making strides and putting forth a lot of effort to try to knock down these barriers. And in the true spirit of collaboration, establishing an environment where we can come together to make improvements, the improvements that our industry needs. So today's contracting summit is yet another example of that, of this worthwhile effort to help improve our industry. And the fact that you all are here is proof that there are folks still out there wanting to make the changes that this industry needs. So thank you all for being here. In today's sessions, you'll learn your options in terms of traditional contracting and how to select the appropriate traditional contract strategy. And the presenters will focus on providing practical guidance and identifying strengths and weaknesses of various contracting approaches, including considerations when employing advanced work packaging. So with that said, I would like to pass it over to my friend and fellow research team member, Jamie Gerbrecht. He and I had a chance to work on RT 340, I can't even remember name now, Jamie, what is 341 and looking at better material planning to improve project performance. So with that, Jamie, I turn it over to you.
Thanks, Annabella. So I'm currently the vice chair of the CII Advanced Work Packaging Community for Business Advancement, or the CBA. And I'm working with Eric Curvella, who's also here on the panel. He's with Digital Construction Works, and with other passionate leaders in the CBA as we look to continue to further the application of AWP fundamentals on projects worldwide. I'm currently on 2 joint working groups of the CBA. One is covering the topic of AWP and lean approaches in project management, and the other is on AWP with modularization. And I'm also working with various CBA subcommittees, as well as with the growing global AWP community of practice that's coordinated by Lloyd Rankin and Group ASI. My degree is a bachelor's in civil engineering from Louisiana State University. I'm registered in Texas and Louisiana, and I'm currently retired from a very enjoyable 38.5-year career with ExxonMobil, where I worked with many projects in domestic and overseas locations and across both the upstream and downstream. In my last 6 years or so with ExxonMobil, I served as a key contact for the company with the Construction Industry Institute, with CII, serving on the board of advisors, downstream and chemicals committee, and in multiple research teams, as Annabella mentioned one of them. The most recent was on promoting the use of AWP. And then I also led the overall effort to bring AWP further into use on ExxonMobil projects, have enjoyed training and coaching numerous others in their work with the AWP principles, and also serving as a guest instructor in university courses and in the CII best practices course. So on the topic of why contract strategy relative to AWP is important to owners, for those of us that have now worked with the application of AWP for some time, we see that there are aspects of what AWP helps bring to projects that can add even further value through enhancing the collaboration among project stakeholders. And I'll mention just 5 of these aspects, though there really are a number of additional ones. One is on improved data management and use of that improved data. How we enter key attributes at the right time in a project during design and carry those through execution. The more collaboration we have and the more effective that is, the better we should be at this. The second one, effective engagement of the EPC companies plus strategic suppliers and subcontractors at the optimal timing. Third, timely development of the path of construction, which of course includes the path of commissioning and startup. The more collaborative the development of the path of construction is, the more successful we are at looking at the timing of engineering delivery and making sure that that's supporting procurement, construction, and beyond. The fourth, constraint management overall across the project timeline. Once again, a more collaborative approach in the project's execution has the opportunity to make sure that we're optimizing what we do with constraint management. We're applying the lean approach. We're minimizing and eliminating waste along the way. We've got the right resources in place with clear responsibilities identified to perform effective constraint management. And then the last one I'll mention is just optimization of project controls for tracking and reporting and continued planning. What an opportunity we have when we're applying the fundamentals of AWP on a project to step up significantly the importance and the benefit and the value of what we do with project controls. So a contract strategy that brings about and supports a more healthy collaborative project environment, encouraging stakeholders to more effectively come together as a family to manage and execute a project. To me, this type of strategy can realize more value from applying AWP, and that value, of course, comes across multiple performance dimensions, including, most importantly, safety. Today, we're going to hear from Keith Kritzer. He's one of the experts that'll be sharing with us, and I want to just briefly describe his roles in growing knowledge and experience on topics that we're covering today. Keith is actually one of the main reasons why I thoroughly enjoyed my time with ExxonMobil, particularly in the downstream segment. Keith is another of ExxonMobil's key contacts with CII, and he and I were able to work jointly in connecting our projects with CII, and in particular with implementation of AWP. Keith has over 25 years of overall project management experience in petrochemical and commercial contracting and construction. He's with the ExxonMobil Global Projects Company that I retired from. He's currently manager of methods and contractor intelligence in contracting and execution planning. And in this role, Keith is responsible for the work processes, systems, tools, training for contracting and project execution planning, and that's for use on all ExxonMobil capital projects worldwide. He's chair of the CII Funded Studies Committee that develops and stewards research at CII, and Keith led the writing of the contracting material that is currently part of the research team 272 material on advanced work packaging. He holds an MBA from George Mason University and a BS in mechanical engineering from Johns Hopkins University. So just one example of someone we'll hear from today that has built these qualifications, knowledge, and experience through topics like AWP, obviously experiencing contracting. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Jamie. And we'll turn now to Jay Moser from Shell.
Good morning. I hope everybody's safe this morning. Welcome. I'm going to do a little bit less introduction, maybe and a little bit more context around why I think it's important that we're here, and then I'll introduce our subject matter expert who will be talking about collaborative contracting today, Paul Mcgregor. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on myself. Most people know of. I'm with Shell, 32 years in project management, chartered project professional, expertise in construction management and methods. I have various roles within different organizations, but within CII, I'm on the board of advisors, and I'm chairing the scaffolding and access management with Josh Gervin. At this point, also, I'm a member, like Jamie, and supporting the modularization and also the AWP CBA that he and Eric lead. So I'm the global AWP champion for Shell, is where I really fit in. And as a construction and fabrication principal technical expert, I really am accountable to bring global expertise into our construction organization and our staff. And those are things that, as you all know, like AWP, et cetera. So why is this important to me? I've been in various roles in this community for the last few years, not as long as some of you, but I would say that as the chair and vice chair of the AWP conference for Houston, we brought AWP steps farther than they were before. Okay, I mean, it's been around a while, right? We all know the timeline. The workplace planning started early in 2006. We know AWP came out in 2013, et cetera. So all these things have been around, but the implementation, the uptake has been, I guess, a little bit difficult for some of us, right? If you look back at the history of HSSE, it didn't change in the industry until the owners just said, look, this is a license to operate. If we cannot be safe, we will not work. I think we're to the point where that has occurred in the AWP realm. And when these things happen, it changes the ways of working, right? And the ways of working in the past, where you might have a relationship with the contractor, it may be a good relationship, maybe a good contract, but it changes, right? It forces whether you're an engineer, a technology company, a software company, or a constructor, you change their ways of working, and things tend to, how do you put that into words where it makes sense? How do you actually feel like you're a partner? Whereas in the ways of working you might have had, you were used to making money on a certain way. Now that we implement AWP, well, it opens up the hood of the truck, right? We start looking under the hood as owners. We need visibility. We want to ensure that we have schedule certainty. We want to ensure that we're going to be on protect our costs. We want to reduce the risk. We want to be safe. We want to have quality. We want all the attributes that AWP gives us. So how do we have a discussion, really? I mean, when I left the chairmanship with Lloyd in Houston, I said, this has got to happen. This was an event I was passionate about getting kicked off on Mike Pappas. And I think we have just got to be bigger and better, and we have to be able to sit at the table and come up with ideas that are conducive to the contractors making money, to the owners making money, to the owners saving money, to being safe. So that's my splurge. I will stop there, but let me introduce Paul Mcgregor. So Paul will be speaking to you today. Paul is a 25-year project manager in Shell. He's worked closely with contracts since really early 90s. His career started in the UK. He's been on alliance contracts in the UK. He's also worked at some of our largest and most complex projects, such as our floating LNG and some of our non-operated ventures in Iraq and Kazakhstan. So he has a broad range of exposure to engineering, construction, drilling, fab yard suppliers, as well as major OEMs, so like rotating equipment, control systems. He's now in our central supply chain and our contract and procurement team supporting capital projects. He and his team, basically have a strategic relationship with most of our EPCs that are serving in the oil and gas and petrochemical industry. He's also leading a global improvement program for supply chain and projects, looking at new ways to contract, areas for improvement, effective collaborating, digital delivery or greenhouse gas carbon emission reduction, etc. In this role, he's his exposure to most of our contracts and our contractors and the capital projects, and he's also representing Shell's involvement with CII in the OS 2.0 Joint Industry Research Team. Shell's currently exploring a myriad of collaborative approaches and how to best incorporate them into the current and future ways of working. Whilst this is certainly not a given across all of Shell, Paul will elaborate on a few examples where Shell's testing some collaborative approaches to see if it can have a wider application across capital project domain. So enjoy, looking forward to Paul's presentation to you all today, and I'll turn it back to you, Bob.
Thank you. And Eric Ravella?
Hey there, good morning. Eric Cravella. I am the Director of Business Development for Digital Construction Works. Digital Construction Works is a joint venture company between Topcon Positioning Group and Bentley Systems. I have about 25 years experience in the industry. I'd started a company back in 2000, grew the company up and sold it off to Bentley Systems in 2008. Stuck around till 2019 and then split off in terms of doing digital construction works in 2019. And besides my role within DCW, I also am the co-chair of or vice chair of the AWP CBA, which Jamie described a bit, and Jay as well. It's about 130 people, very passionate about the advanced work packaging. We have 5 subcommittees, 3 joint working groups, and a lot of passionate people along those lines in terms of fired up to advance the ball with advanced work packaging. So in terms of why myself personally and why the CBA supports this sort of contracting summit, it's really simple, right? We're on a journey in order to get the more predictable and measurable outcomes. Contracts drive change, right? So Jay brought up the safety aspects of it. It wasn't until owners started keeping score that we saw the safety change and we got metrics involved. Contracts drive change, and the 3 big rocks within the CBA that we've been trying to move is really looking at it from a data, education, and contracts. So really, within the CBA, the tip of the spear here is, how do we get engineering and procurement to really align around construction and the path of construction? To get there, we need more collaborative contracting methods and incentives to drive change. and to get engineering to align to construction and commissioning those priorities. Even if we have to go a bit slower to go fast, that's what we have to do. So this is a means to provide a level of education and to help folks in the industry in general start looking at, okay, how do we transition away from just these traditional contracting methods to more collaborative contracting models, and to bring greater alignment, better profit margins, and a more sustainable relationships amongst the stakeholders in terms of pulling this off. And today we're going to have a number of great presenters, but one of them is Richard Veneus, right? He's the principal at Veneus Partners, Advisory Partners, right? Richard has over 20 years experience in procurement, contracting, and commercial management in a diverse set of industries, including construction. He's a qualified lawyer. He's certified in construction law and holds an MBA from the School of Business. He's also professionally trained or certified in a number of related disciplines, including project management, change management, contract administration, adult learning, mediation, arbitration, and this unique ISO standard 44001 for collaborative working. So Richard's an instructor for the Supply Chain Canada, which is basically the de facto standard for supply chain management training in Canada. And he's also a leading contributor to the Construction Owners Association of Alberta, COA's construction contracting best practice, right? So we're going to have Richard's going to give a talk on the contract strategy framework coming from COA and how it can be used to improve your contract strategy going forward. So we look forward to this and look forward to the summit today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you all. Our four thought leaders will be joining us again at the 3 o'clock session today to help lead the dialogue with you all and discussion of what you're going to hear in this morning and this afternoon's presentation. There are 3 parts to our program today. You've just had the kickoff part. We're now going to go into the session. We're going to talk about traditional contracting with the 3 individuals who were introduced just now. And we'd like you to see a little introductory video, and then we'll go right to their presentations.
Welcome to the CII Contract Strategy Virtual Summit. Today's presenters are Keith Kritzer, Richard Veneus, and Paul Mcgregor. In the spectrum of traditional contracting models, Keith, Richard, and Paul will highlight contracting approaches and compensation models in use in the construction industry. In considerations when employing AWP with traditional and collaborative contracting models, Keith will discuss the required adjustments and recommended enhancements to contractual requirements to enable advanced work packaging. In the case for collaborative approaches, Paul will explain why collaborative contracting is an important and necessary development for the construction industry. In the COAA Collaborative Contracting Framework, Richard will introduce the new Construction Owners Association of Alberta Framework, a formal guideline and reference tool for the development of collaborative partnerships.